What up, what up, what up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Mr. Haddock here, and what a great day to learn some science. Today we're going to continue on from Friday's notes on cell organelles. So kind of just pick up where you left off in your online notebook, and let's get started. The first organelle that we're going to take a look at today is called the endoplasmic reticulum, or short, the ER. The ER is found in both plant and animal cells, and what it is it's this network of tubes and membranes that transports materials to parts of the cell. It kind of just it transports things. That's as simple as it is. There are two types of endoplasmic reticulum. There is the smooth ER, which does not have ribosomes on it, and then there is the rough ER, which does have ribosomes on it. And we'll talk about what ribosomes do in just a moment. The location is very close to the nucleus. It is typically attached to the nucleus. So there is another organelle that kind of looks like the ER, but it's not as close to the nucleus as the endoplasmic reticulum is. And that GIF right there summarizes what the role of this ER is as a transporter, as it transports things throughout the cell. So just so that you're aware of that, particularly it transports proteins, but it does transport other things as well. The second organelle here is the ribosome. The ribosome is again found in both plant and animal cells, and what it does is it makes proteins for the cell. It is very small and usually circular in shape. It is found either attached to the ER, making it a rough ER, or they can be free-floating in the cytoplasm. Sometimes in drawings they're so small that it's kind of hard to tell if it's pointing to the cytoplasm or is it pointing to a ribosome. But typically you'll see the tiny little dots, and those are the ribosomes. And, that young man right there in the GIF is, enjoying some protein, as well, kind of summarizes what the role of the ribosome is. The third organelle is the mitochondria. The mitochondria found in both plant and animal cells kind of looks like a little bean, but this small bean-shaped organelle makes the energy for the cell. It is a power plant or a powerhouse for the cell. What it does is it takes the sugars that the cell makes and turns it into energy. Otherwise, the cell wouldn't be able to make energy. The sole responsibility of this organelle is to take sugar and turn it into energy that the cell can use. It is usually found free-floating in the cytoplasm, and that GIF right there just summarizes it all from The Simpsons. It is a power plant. The next is the vacuole. Now, it is found both in plant and animal cells, but in plant cells, there's usually only one, and it is very large. And when it's found in animal cells, which is not all the time, they're not always found in animal cells, they tend to be quite small. And all it does is it stores food, water, and waste, and whatever else the cell needs to have stored. That's the role of the vacuole. Now, in a plant cell, because plants can't move and they might need to wait long periods of time before they're able to gather water, the vacuole is typically used for water storage for plant cells, so that they don't die because they need water to function. Again, the vacuole is found free-floating in the cytoplasm, and the GIFs right there kind of just show you storage. The bear putting some fish in his belly to store for later, as well as the shed, which we use to store things. The next one is the Golgi apparatus. The Golgi apparatus, again, found in plant and animal cells, kind of looks like a flattened stack of pancakes. And what it does is it processes and packages proteins and lipid or fat molecules that, to be transported and moved and used throughout the cell. It is found in the cytoplasm. It is found close to the nucleus, but not as close to the nucleus as the ER. So that's how you can kind of tell the ER apart, because it does kind of look like the Golgi apparatus. The endoplasmic reticulum will be closer to the nucleus than the Golgi apparatus. And what ends up happening is at the ER, proteins and things like that are made and transported to the Golgi apparatus so that those can be processed even more for the cell. So the ER is the transports things. The Golgi apparatus packages them. Okay, and that GIF of the dog becoming a Christmas present there with a cute little bow tie or Christmas bow on his head just kind of summarizes up what the Golgi body or Golgi apparatus does. Oh, it can be called the Golgi bodies, and it can also sometimes be called the Golgi complex. If the word Golgi is there, it's the same thing as the Golgi apparatus, just a heads up there. The next one is the lysosome. The lysosome can only be found in animal cells. It is rarely found in plant cells. What it does is it contains this digestive enzyme that kind of cleans up the cell. So it might destroy bacteria that might be harmful to the cell, or let's say that a cell part is old and worn out, it will actually use its digestive enzyme to break down that cell part. These are found free-floating in the cytoplasm as well, and the GIF right there summarizes up what it does. It cleans the cell up, as SpongeBob is trying to clean up the house. The next one is the chloroplast. This is found only in plant cells, and the chloroplast contains a green pigment called chlorophyll, which you should have learned about last year, and this is where photosynthesis happens. Photosynthesis happens in the chloroplast, and what photosynthesis is, if you don't know, is taking light energy or from the sun and turning it into sugar. That sugar can then be used by the mitochondria to turn sugar into energy. So what ends up happening is it takes that light energy, turns it into a form of chemical energy in sugar, and then that chemical energy is the food for the plant cell. Chloroplasts are found in the cytoplasm, and they are typically green, and they will have these kind of like stacks of coin-looking things inside that kind of show you that that is the chloroplast. Now let's take a look after reviewing all of those organelles, all 14 of them. How are plant and animal cells different? Okay, they have a lot of similarities if you remember all the organelles that were in both plant and animal cells, but how are they different? Well, let's focus on the plant cell first. The plant cell does have a cell wall and it has a chloroplast. It also has a larger vacuole than an animal cell, if the animal cell has a vacuole at all. Plant cells do tend to be rectangular in shape, and plant cells can produce their own food through photosynthesis. And you can see an image of plant cells. I'm not sure what is kind of moving or what's causing that movement in that GIF, but those are plant cells. The animal cells are on the right here. They do not contain a cell wall. If they do have a vacuole, they are much smaller in size. Animal cells do tend to be round in shape, and they don't have that kind of rigid structure of plant cells. Animal cells are not able to make their own food. So they need to go out and find their own food, whether it's through hunting, or eating other organisms, whether they're eating other animals, animal cells, or plants. And animal cells also contain lysosomes, which plant cells do not. Now, this is also going to be posted in Canvas. This is the image of the animal cell that you will need to be able to label. Okay, we're not going to change up the picture on you. This is going to be the picture that you're going to be responsible for labeling. Okay, so just be aware of that. Notice how this picture calls it the plasma membrane, but it is also the cell membrane. Sorry for the bad handwriting there. You can see the rough endoplasmic reticulum right there, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum right there, and then the Golgi apparatus is the pink item there. The lysosome there, and then the nucleus in the center there. And then the green stuff is the cytoplasm, and those tiny, tiny, tiny little dots, I told you they were tiny in some pictures, are the ribosomes. So just be aware, you can see that the cytoplasm and the ribosome lines kind of look like they're pointing to the same thing, but if you look closely, that ribosome is there next to that line. So just kind of heads up for that. This is the image that you will be responsible for. Now let's take a look at the plant cell. So the plant cell, same thing. Instead, the plasma membrane, we call it the cell membrane. There's the chloroplast right here. There's a couple of them. It looks like there's two in this picture. The cell wall is this one right here. This outer part right here, this is the cell wall to another plant cell that is attached. Same thing with that, same thing with that, same thing with that, same thing with that, and so on. And then the cell membrane is that thin yellow line that's going around the cell, you can see. Again, the smooth and rough are in the same locations as the plant cell. Here they call it the central vacuole. I'm just concerned that you label it vacuole. The cytoplasm there. Again, the ribosome is very tiny. You can see that line pointing to that. The Golgi apparatus, farther away from the nucleus than the ER, but still there. So, I am done here. My work is done. I hope that you got something out of these notes and you took quality notes. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to assist you. But other than that, have a great rest of your day.